Good morning. We'll call the Wednesday, September 11th, 2019 City Council meeting to order. At this time, we have something special today. We've asked the Honor Guard for the Fire Department to present the colors today, and the invocation will be from our Fire Chief. So at this time, Chief, you go ahead and control the meeting.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. If everyone would please stand with me. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the gathering again of your saints. We ask your blessings upon this city. Lord, we are reminded that around this time in 2001, those planes were going into those towers and we were losing citizens of this country. We remember them today, Lord, and we honor them by our allegiance to this country. We ask all of your blessings upon this city. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
If you'll remain standing in the honor guard, we'll present the colors. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chief, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
With that, we'll go ahead and move into the meeting. There's minutes to be approved.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Sellers, a second by Suddeth. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. At this time, we'll go into the public hearing. It'll be presented by our City Manager, Ed Broussard. And this is a public hearing, and so after the City Manager completes his presentation, we might have some questions up here from him or to him, and then at that time we'll do 3 minutes for the comments of each person that has filled out a card. So if you'd like to fill out a card, go ahead and make sure you have one filled out or in the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Hines and City Council, it is our privilege to be before you today to present the proposed fiscal year 2019-2020 programs and services for the City of Tyler. The budget preparation and implementation aligns with the city's strategic plan, which in itself is tied back to Tyler First and the City Council's direction. We are continuing the path that was set out in 1995 with the blueprint as adopted by city leaders and continue to today with this elected body, which set direction for the community where we could be debt-free on our property tax levies and focusing on essential services in a quality manner for our citizens and businesses. The proposed programs and services before you today, totaling $208 million for the full fiscal year 2020 budget of operations, capital improvement projects, and over 3 dozen funds, represents the input and analysis of hundreds of staff, reviewing their ability to enhance their services and answer to the citizens who've asked for improvements. We do not shy away from finding improvements, and the budget process forces that review and analysis to refine our services. This means cutting funding where appropriate, increasing services and resources where the programs are having success. It involves understanding priorities for the community, such as parks improvements as identified by the City Council, or public safety as shown in citizen surveys. This budget reflects the urgencies of the community will and provides responsive, responsible solutions. From 2015 to 2018, the city had struggled with general fund revenues which pay for those services that do not have a direct revenue source. This goes towards police, fire, parks, streets, library, municipal court, and general government services. Several factors have come into play during last year's budget development that provided recovery and strengthened the general fund. We look forward to another year of modest but incremental growth in general fund revenues. Total revenues for fiscal year 2020 are projected to be $72.79 million, roughly 5.5% greater than fiscal year 2019 budget. We've seen sales and use tax revenue experience growth again, increasing 7.01% between fiscal year 2018 and fiscal year 2019. We are projecting a cumulative 4.9% growth for fiscal year 2019, the current one we're in, and keeping projections flat for fiscal year 2020. Although we should note that we have developed our projections on sales and use tax differently than in past years. Sales and use tax is generated off of several different components, ranging from retail, restaurants, wholesalers, service, and agriculture and mining. We developed revenue projections off of each of these different components as they show different trends during the past few years. The oil and gas industry especially influences certain areas of the sales tax, especially with mining and service, and we work to balance the volatility of this primary revenue stream with more nuanced projections. The volatility of the sales and use tax is still heavily tied to the ups and downs of the oil and gas economy. We've seen the impacts of oil and gas downturns on sales tax revenue in 2016 and 2017, causing the city to reduce services and make expenditure cuts into public safety programs to make up for the unexpected drop in revenue. With the 5% growth that we saw in sales tax revenues for fiscal year 2019 and expenditures coming in lower than budgeted, we are recommending using $3 million of our end-of-year fund balance for this fiscal year to modify the means that we maintain our general fund reserve accounting. We work to maintain a 15% reserve fund for general fund services, and our current method of accounting for this depends on accrued revenue expected in the year. With this $3 million, we are recommending moving to combine with the $3 million in the oil and gas fund to have a combined $6 million in a rainy day fund for operational reserves that can be fluid and available during future recessions. This rainy day fund will provide stability for essential services such as public safety and during that recession period and rebuilt during growth periods. Property taxes continue to make up approximately 31% of the revenues collected by the general fund, and we will go in more detail on the property tax revenue projections later in this presentation. The city's franchise fees are budgeted to remain at the same level as last year's budget. It should be noted that the state passed legislation this year that reduces some of the amounts we collect in this category, specifically related to telephone and cable TV franchise fees. The legislation allows a company that provides both cable TV and telephone services to pay only on the service that generates more revenue. In most cases, this will be cable TV and will reduce the amount that the city collects in telephone franchises by $236,000 for this coming year and $314,000 for fiscal year 2021. I do want to note that after some decline, fines and penalty revenues appear to have stabilized. The projected revenues for the fiscal year 2020 budget remain relatively flat compared to the fiscal year 2019 budget. We are recommending a modest tax rate increase from 24.4452 cents to 25.99 cents per $100 valuation for fiscal year 2020. With a net taxable value of $9.06 billion within the city limits, the additional rate increase of 1.5448 cents will generate $2 million over the current rate, with a full net taxable revenue amount to be $22.5 million. At our proposed rate of 25.99 cents per $100 valuation, a home valued at $150,000 will be assessed city property taxes of approximately $389.85 per year, or $32.48 per month. This 1.548 cent increase would translate to $23.17 increase for the year for the homeowner of the same $150,000 home. As we begin a review of our property valuations and the use of property tax collections to advance our public safety and general government services, it's useful to consider how our collections match with other comparable hub cities in Texas. With the lowest rate in the state, we also collect a relatively small amount of taxes as compared to our other marketplace competitors. There are two positives that come with this. First, we do have lower rates and collections because of that blueprint philosophy that we still believe in, which has resulted in not having to levy an interest and sinking rate for debt on our citizens and businesses. Every dollar we collect from our property taxes goes into our public safety, streets, parks, library services that work for our citizens. This disciplined approach towards financial management has led the city to being recognized with a AAA bond rating on its general fund and a AA+ bond rating on our utility system. Second, I didn't use the phrase marketplace competitors on accident. We do compete with fellow municipalities for economic development and quality of life projects. Our tax rate and small number of regulations provides an edge for the city of Tyler, and the relatively few tax abatements that we have offered in the past demonstrates that businesses really do want to locate here for reasons beyond cash incentives. The major change in property valuations for fiscal year 2019 tied directly to the addition of the former ETMC, now UT Health East Texas, as taxable value on the rolls. This year, we experienced closer to our regular rate of growth in values and additions, which reflects the confidence that our citizens and newcomers have in Tyler as a location for residential, business, and industrial growth. Our maintenance and repair program for our water and wastewater system follows the blueprint model of cash funding to the full extent that we can. During the next 10 years, we expected cash flow $56 million in utility system improvements. For fiscal 2020 alone, we intend to spend approximately $11.8 million in cash on water and wastewater system improvements. The proposed utility rate increases mirror the rate modifications that we set for the current fiscal year that we are in. There will be a 5% base rate increase, which equates to a 66-cent base rate increase on water and an 81-cent base rate increase on wastewater, along with a $3.24 increase on the regulatory compliance fee, which is directly linked back to the debt payments for wastewater system improvements required by the Environmental Protection Agency and the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. The increase for residential users who consume 5,000 gallons of water a month will be $6.01 per month. For those industrial and businesses that use more than 25,000 gallons per month, they will see a base rate increase as well. While the impact will vary depending on how much water is used by the customer, for those commercial customers consuming 30,000 gallons of water per month, as an example, we'll see an increase of $13.51 per month. We review the utilities fees associated with new construction to ensure that our costs for materials and services are captured. With this in mind, we are only recommending adjustments to our water and sewer tap fees for cost recovery of these services. We did make adjustments to our residential rate with this current fiscal year and continued our annual review of CPI rates for future increases. We continue to incrementally move residential customer rates so that residential services are not subsidized by commercial accounts and better reflect the true cost of service. The coming year's rate change based on our CPI increase of 1.9% is 31 cents, bringing the monthly rate to $16.70. We conducted a Lean Six Sigma study on our tire disposal cost recovery. The current program allows up to 4 tires each month that can be placed at the curb for collection with no fee, as well as a drop-off at the recycling center for $5 a tire at any time. Beginning on October 1st, we will change the program to have customers call in for collections of the tires at the curb and a fee of $5 per tire assessed with the collection. We anticipate this will provide $65,000 per year in savings on collections, plus additional revenue from the curbside pickup toward solid waste services. Since its adoption in 1995, the half-cent fund for capital projects has been an incredible success story for Tyler and serves as a model for responsible, sustainable capital program funding. Having served in other cities, I'm grateful that our city leaders had the foresight to create this source of cash to fund the capital improvements program on an ongoing basis rather than being dependent on debt to fund these projects. After 24 years of the program in action, I want to promote its impact on our city. We ran the model for what the addition to our property tax rate may be if we use debt on this $170 million we've spent since the half-cent adoption. Our rate would now be approximately 46 cents instead of 24 cents if we had an interest and sinking portion to our tax rate. If we didn't issue any further debt than the $170 million during the past 24 years in this model, we would not be able to fully pay that off and get to a tax rate of 25 cents until the year 2036. For the coming fiscal year, we have several projects that move forward to benefit traffic, quality of life, drainage, and public safety using the $15.1 million we expect to generate and the available funds generated during the current fiscal year to potentially spend a total of $28.5 million. Fire Station Number 1 at Palace and Gentry and Fire Station Number 4 at Cherry Hill and Cumberland are currently under construction. The design phase improvements of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard are underway. We have improvements underway for Wooldert and Fund Forest Parks, along with drainage and roadway improvements. The half-cent fund will also continue to pay for the traffic modernization study that began this year, a major process of improvement for the connections of our traffic signals. We plan to cash fund an amazing $5.945 million in water system improvements with an additional $667,000 in bond-funded water system repairs. This continues the work of improving water quality throughout our city with replacement of water lines, looping lines where appropriate, and improvement of filters at the Golden Road Water Treatment Plant. Fiscal year 2020 will also see significant investment in our wastewater system, as we expect to spend $5.821 million on projects, all paid in cash. We'll continue rehabbing the Southside Wastewater Treatment Plant clarifier and a lift station pump replacement. The primary treatment clarifier is an important step in the Southside wastewater treatment process. Restoring the primary clarifiers will protect pumps and motors, increase plant capacity, and better remove several types of solids, resulting in a cleaner water product for discharge into the Mud Creek. We also continue to purchase easements for the proposed new regional wastewater treatment plant further south from Tyler, as we begin planning toward that project, which is a major undertaking for our future. Regional cities like Tyler will also play a crucial role in providing services and expertise to our neighbors as we continue to grow together. To that end, the City of Tyler purchased 219 acres southwest of Bullard 9 years ago. This year, the mayor has asked that we devote an additional 1 cent for the Quality Street Commitment Fund, bringing the pledged property tax commitment to 2 cents. This brings our funded amount to $1.54 million. Prior to fiscal year 2017, our asphalt seal coat program was funded with whatever could be carved out of the general fund beyond the other funded services. The council set a goal of 81 to reach for the pavement condition index that is conducted on all city asphalt streets and set aside a penny from the tax rate to begin funding a street maintenance program. Last year, with a commitment of 1.25 cents of the tax rate for asphalt seal coat program, we were able to spend approximately $842,000. Our goal this year is to designate 2 cents of the tax rate for the asphalt seal coat program to continue progressing toward an average rating of 81. We'll continue with an overlay budget from the half-cent fund of $3.5 million, which was the challenge set with the 2016 PCI review to maintain or improve the average rating. This year, we were able to maintain 27.7 lane miles with seal and onyx seal coat. With the additional penny added as part of the quality street commitment, we should see in fiscal year 2020 a total of 78.9 lane miles for seal and onyx seal coating on our public streets. This represents a 284% increase in our preventive maintenance, which enhances the conditions of our roads, our largest asset for future generations. We continue our mission to serve our community through our parks and recreation programs by continuing to reinvest in our services with the fiscal year 2020 budget. There is a sizable investment in our premier recreational facility, the Glass Recreation Center, with $107,582 towards improvements. This will include restroom renovations, new weight equipment, interior repainting, and the gym floor being resurfaced. Unfortunately, we're the victims of times of vandalism in our park restroom facilities throughout the city during nighttime hours. The fire in the Southside Park bathroom a couple of years ago put that bathroom out of commission for over half a year and cost approximately $75,000 to repair. We are requesting it to install timer locks on all our park's restrooms so that they are locked between dusk and dawn. This will work to prevent future damage to these facilities and reduce our costs. With the recent opening of the Legacy Trails, we now have over 4 miles of new trails to service our citizens and visitors. With additional funding of $25,000 that is proposed, we do ensure that they are maintained and mowed to provide a quality environment to those enjoying the natural beauty of the trails and woods that surround them. This year, we replaced our library roof. Cost savings in the amount of $179,000 allowed more funding for facilities and equipment in this year's budget towards an estimated $500,000 in various roof repairs and replacements. We plan to install new parking meters for the downtown that will allow for credit card, coin, and mobile payment, thus enhancing our citizens' experience. The majority of the expenditure, however, will be dedicated towards the purchase of a new fire engine. In fiscal year 2019, we worked toward and are now proposing for fiscal year 20 a more regular replacement schedule for our fire engines and ladder trucks to ensure we have the highest functioning vehicles available to our firefighters. Engine trucks are frontline service vehicles that provide rapid response to all emergencies, responding to every service call and have a life expectancy of 12 years. Ladder trucks are specialized vehicles that provide aerial water flow and elevated rescue capacity with optimum life expectancy of 15 years. The replacement plan will assist the Tyler Fire Department in fulfilling its mission to protect lives and property from fire and other hazards through incident mitigation, education, and prevention. As part of our city's blueprint for doing business, we want to build a sustainable approach to our employee compensation that provides incremental merit-based pay increases. This year, we plan to offer all qualifying employees a merit-based pay increase of 2%, plus the ability to qualify for an additional 1% lump sum to be paid out quarterly. We conducted a market rate pay study on 83 positions this year in order to bring 157 employees to a higher pay rate that is more comparable to pay for those positions seen in similar cities or institutions in our region. We hope to conduct at least another 43 market rate studies this coming year on positions that we see as potentially not at market rates or having difficulty in recruiting. We will see this focus on workforce investment reflected in our increased retention from 2014 to the present. Through employee engagement and staying competitive with our market comparisons, we hit a new high for the city on 92.2% retention of employees. We continue to work on improvements and building up an exceptional team of public servants for our community. During the past 3 years, we made substantial adjustments to our health fund and its policies. As a self-insured institution, we have pursued changes that balance the program's costs between the city and the employee. The health fund has seen a good year with relatively few major claims. With the state of the health fund, we recommend no increases in premiums for employees and to lower the out-of-pocket maximum from $7,350 to $6,350 for employees. It will potentially add $47,169 in claim expenses to the health fund, but at this time the health fund is in a position to absorb those costs. As per the budget and tax rate adoption schedule per state statutes, the council has one action it must take today. It must hold the first of two public hearings at this time, or must hold the second of two public hearings at this time to allow for citizen comment. We expect to bring the tax rate and budget to the council for adoption at your meeting on September 25th. Any questions, Mayor?
Any questions? Okay, at this time, I do have 3 cards and one that says, take first. We are visited with today by the Cumberland High School Student Government Council. They are here today. Welcome to City Hall. And we have one student that would like to come up at this time and speak on the budget. Her name is Carla Bermudez. I'm sorry. Please come up, state your name and address for the record, but go ahead and put your school address. How about that?
Yes, sir. Carla Bermudez, 7200 Paluxy Drive.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining. 3 minutes.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Carla Bermudez. I'm an officer of the Student Council at Cumberland Academy High. The goal of Cumberland Academy High is to be an asset to the community. That is the reason why, as the government body of our school, we have taken time out of our school day to address the City Council about the traffic issues at our school. Several traffic studies have been completed. The traffic flow has been redirected in order to have more vehicles on the campus to reduce the traffic on Paluxy. And finally, we have addressed the issues with the parents. At this point, we're asking for constructive feedback on how we can improve this matter. We appreciate and thank you for your support. Please know that your suggestions will be taken very seriously and greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. The next card is Charles Ford. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Charles Ford, 18389 Briarwood, Kemp, Texas.
You have 3 minutes.
Okay. Susan, pass these out, please. I'm here representing Unit 225, which is part of the American Contract Bridge League, the ACBL. And what is being passed out now is a map of Unit 225, and we're here to discuss the increase in rent from $30 an hour to $60 an hour. We have a game, a unit game, every second Saturday of each month at the Senior Citizens here in Tyler. Now, if you'll notice on there, it's quite a large unit. There are a total of 18 units in District 16. And District 16 of the ACBL is all of Texas and goes all the way down to Mexico City. There are a total of 256 districts in the in the American Contract Bridge League. And if you'll notice on there, there are 9 clubs in our unit. And they go all the way from Gun Barrel City up to Texarkana, then to Nacogdoches, and everything in the middle, which is Canton, Tyler, Longview, the red dots on there. Pittsburgh, and Mount Vernon. Like I said, we have the game every second Saturday of each month. I want the council to understand that Unit 225 is a nonprofit organization. Everybody that serves on that board. I'm a past president. Ms. Avant is a past president. My wife is presently on the board, Susan Ford, and Linda Harrison is presently the president of the board. We all served without any fee, and we're glad to do it. And everybody that serves is, there's no, what I would call a hired personnel, in other words, staff. So we serve rent-free, really. And presently, we've been having our unit game at the Senior Citizens here in Tyler for the last 12 years. And the reason we want to stay, but when they go from $30 to $60 an hour, it's going to break our back. We just can't afford that right now. Like I said, we pinch every penny. And if you would, what I'm going to give you is, Susan, give each one of them. This is an average of our unit games that I'm going to give you. We'll average about 11 and a half tables, and that means there's 42 people that attend. We charge $9 per person, and we've had to go up on that for the last couple of years. And we have found every time we've gone up on the price per game, we've lost people that come. We're directly affected by any increase at all. And also at the Senior Citizen, we have a storage space that we've been using there. We never thought there was a problem because nobody was using it. And it's proposed now that we also pay a storage fee there. The unit can't afford it. If you'll see on there.
Mr. Mayor, the time is up
Yes.
at this point.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, and
If y'all would-
we'll ask the city manager some questions here in a minute
Okay.
about that. Thank you for coming, and Ms. Avant, would you like to speak?
I'm Nelda Avett, and I've lived in Tyler all my life. I'm an avid bridge player. I've been president of Unit 225 5 times. So I am very interested in furthering our stay at the Senior Citizens Building. Our group is a senior unit, and we are happy there. We've been there 12 and a half years, and we'd like to stay. But we cannot afford this price increase. And because we are nonprofit, there's no place to get money. We have a sectional tournament and a regional tournament, every other year, which we raise money for our unit. And you can imagine how we squeeze onto that money trying to make it from year to year. So I ask you to please consider not going up on us. We are a senior citizens group, and we hope you will consider keeping us. I have lived in Tyler all my life. I mean, from a baby. So I've been here always. I am a retired teacher from Tyler Independent School District. So I'm well acquainted with Tyler. My husband is deceased, but I am a widow, and he was a longtime medical doctor here. So probably some of you know of that. I've played bridge at the monthly unit games from, I can't even remember what age I started, and you sure don't want to know my age now. Our unit game has 50 to 100 people, depending on the type of game it is, like if it's a Christmas party or something like that. But we have, as Charles told you, 20 counties in our unit. We're one of the largest units in the whole state. This is a worldwide organization. This is not Tyler, Texas, or the state of Texas. It's a big thing, and people work for points and represent us all over the world. Let me say one thing in closing. All these people who come to Tyler, they come, they shop before the game. That brings money into our city. They eat out, and then we play bridge, and they eat out again and do whatever they do before they go home. So please consider
And we like
letting us stay at the same rate. We thank you. I, in particular, love Tyler and am so glad to share it.
Thank you very much. That's all the comment cards we have. Ed, tell us about that.
So currently at the senior center, you can rent the senior center on Saturdays only, but for blocks of 4 hours or 8 hours. And so it's $120 for a 4-hour block, $240 for an 8-hour block. That includes the custodian. It includes, as far as the staff person to open and lock up for you. And so you have, as we looked at cost recovery, we looked in to see what is the appropriate amount that we can do to get closer to cost recovery for different services, including the senior center as one of them. And so the proposal is to change that then from $120 for a 4-hour block to $60 per hour for the rent of the space.
I'm sorry, say that again. I got distracted.
So instead of
with people leaving.
$120 for a 4-hour block or $240 for an 8-hour block, $60 an hour for getting closer to full recovery on the cost for having the place open for the rental. Who the rental is, we don't. I mean, that's this group as far as the ACBL. Did I get that wrong? Yes, ACBL is one of them, and but this was just to look at the cost recovery piece. It wasn't necessarily because of who it is that renting or anything of that nature. And so, if you look at it, so if you want the same 4-hour block, the price does double in essence. As they are stating, or the say 240, or the 8-hour block, the price does double. But that is again a cost recovery measure that we are requesting for the increase for the $60 per hour fee.
Would you do me a favor before the next meeting, maybe either later this week or first part of next week? Would you detail that part of the budget?
Yes, sir.
And a little, as much history as possible about what groups are using the facility and kind of what they're paying now. And then you can send that out to the different council members. And then on the September 25th meeting, we'll come back and we'll visit about that
We can do
in
that.
meeting. But that'll give us some time and me some time to actually understand that budget more.
We can do that.
Is that okay? Did anybody else have questions about it? But I'd like to understand more.
I think it's good. I mean, probably shouldn't say this, but not everything is about cost recovery. I mean, there's some things that we should do just because that's what we do. I mean, it's basic services, so I'd like to see the same number
Yeah,
you're
let's
talking
look
about.
at it.
I agree. To me, this is kind of like a park. These people go there to play bridge because they're seniors and they don't particularly like going to the park anymore. So we don't charge to go to the park. Maybe we should. How many different groups do you have? Just a number off the top of your head?
I do not have the number of groups of who rents it, or how many. It's like I said, Saturdays only. The increased, as far as fee, would equate to about $10,800 for next year's budget for additional revenue to pay towards the senior center operations.
Yeah,
and
I
services.
want to get the detail. I want to know what groups are renting and the term that they're renting. I mean, if somebody an hour or, you know, in my opinion, it's going to be probably come down to, well, if you're renting it for just 1 hour, maybe $30 is not enough. But if you're going to rent it for 4 to 8 hours, do you need to have that additional $30 an hour? And I would think that would be a little much. But I want to review it, so let's look at it. Just give me some data, and I'll do my thing, and then all the council members will be able to process it their way, and then we'll talk about it on the 25th. Are there any other questions of the city manager?
No.
Well, at this time, I will close the public hearing then, and then we will move forward with P1. Thanks, everybody, for coming. And if someone's just here for this, we'll give you a break for just a minute, and y'all can leave. Or if you want to stay for the whole meeting, you can. Yes, that's right.
You're going to play bridge,
You
right?
got to play some bridge.
Mayor, Council, you have item P1 before you. It's a request the City Council consider receiving a presentation on the opportunity to issue approximately $21 million in revenue bonds to facilitate regulatory compliance in our sewer system and provide general guidance to staff regarding authorization to proceed with this opportunity to issue revenue bonds. Stephen Adams, our city's financial advisor, is here, and he's going to give a little bit more detailed presentation. For our 2020 budget, what we're proposing is about $24.3 million in projects. About 3.5 of that will be cash funded. Some of those projects include point repairs at various creek crossings in amount of about $2 million. Hydraulic model and capacity updates, about $5.3 million. Gravity sewer phase 1 final, about $8.9 million. Gravity sewer phase 2, year 3 of 4, $5.1 million. And gravity sewer phase 3, year 2 of 4, about $600,000. And gravity sewer phase 4, year 1 of 4, about $2.3 million. It is estimated there will be about almost $205,000 in bond issuance costs, in addition to the $20.845 million that is needed for the bond-funded portion of these construction projects. After the completion of the presentation, it is recommended the City Council receive the presentation on issuing $21 million in bonds and give staff general guidance on the proceeding with this project. At this point, I'll turn it over to Stephen Adams.
Yeah, state your name and address for the record, but then at this point, you go ahead and do your presentation, but then I'd like to call up and just warn Jimmy that I'm going to call him up.
Okay.
That's you, Jimmy.
Yeah, was it Dr. John?
Yeah, Dr. Johnson.
Just make sure.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Chief Toller's not sitting out there going, what?
Just to give some, I want to get some, Dr. Johnson, I want just some background on what we're talking about here a little bit too.
Thank you, Kedrick. Again, Stephen Adams with Specialized Public Finance, Dallas, Texas. think earlier this year, we've known there's been this issue that was a potential from the EPA and TCEQ of some regulatory requirements. It was really, I think, probably more than what we had anticipated when we were doing all of our pro formas in the past years. But what we've been doing is working a lot with the city staff and developing a lot of pro formas and financial modeling to comply with these regulatory requirements on the wastewater side. We think right now that there's about 195 million, give or take, in projects that need to be done over a multi-year period, as you can see in front of you now. And what we've done is looked at funding options. I think this first bond issue that we have to do is a timing issue that my understanding is needs to get started to comply with regulatory requirements. So we are going to, if you allow us to move forward today, once we get our feedback, move forward and sell the first piece of these bonds next month on the open market. What we hope to do is sell the remaining series of bonds to the Texas Water Development Board. Now it's a state agency, it is a process. So we can't just sell bonds to them next month. So we go through a process that takes several months to go through their program. However, their program is funded partially by the EPA and they subsidize the interest rate. So right now for a 30-year loan through the Water Development Board at current rates, you're looking at maybe give or take 1% interest rate on that loan, which so we hope to take advantage of that on all the future projects if we can. And again, it's a process. It's a little bit competitive. They usually have money. There may be some projects that we don't want to go through them because of environmental requirements that they have, which are stiffer than going on the open market. But that's the plan for now, and we're going to try to do that since it is such low interest money. Moving forward, this is a graph of all of those bonds that are laid out on the previous page. And you can see we'll have a peak in your debt service in a few years. And then after that, it'll start going down after about 2030. Now, this is only for wastewater projects. So we have, you see the net revenue line, which is the red line. So that's money available for debt service. And then we have the debt service. And how do we determine that that's what your net revenues need to be? So what we do, we go through a process. We look at many pro formas. We look at all the rating criteria for what the city needs to maintain its credit ratings, because that impacts the interest rate on your debt. Even at the Water Development Board, they base it on your underlying ratings. And so we also take into account the amount of cash-funded projects that you're doing from not only the wastewater, but the water system. So that coverage has to account for future debt, it has to account for ratings, and it has to account for the sizable cash that the utility is putting back into its system as well. And each year we can evaluate that in your budget like you just have done this year, and also as we move forward, we'll look at your system growth, debt markets, and things of that nature. So we'll update this every year over time. This first bond issue, we're looking at selling 30-year bonds with level debt service. And what we would propose to do is take bids on the Monday preceding your next council meeting, and then have those bids presented to the council as an offer to purchase your bonds from the winning bidder. And so that's the debt service that we would be anticipating at that time in a month from now. I've got a calendar here and a couple of slides. I think Kedrick mentioned that we expected about 20 million, little under 21 million in projects. Approximately issuance cost is estimated to be 200,000. That's for ratings, bond counsel, our firm, attorney general. We'll tighten that up. We know it won't be more than that. So that's what the bond issue size will look like. Probably won't be exactly par. Bidders will bid a premium or a discount, so we'll adjust the par amount to compensate for that. It is a good time to be in the debt market. The red line is where we are now in terms of 25-year interest rates for revenue bonds. You can see that little area in 2016 where it was below current rates. That's the only time it's been lower than they are now. And you probably have to go back to the 60s to get to where they are now otherwise. So that, we're very good time for selling bonds. We're at low interest rates, and that's, we've got in our models projected increasing rates, and if that doesn't happen, the numbers will get better, and perhaps rate increases will be less than we have projected, and you'll have a better outcome than what we currently have projected. So that's the good part. The calendar that we are proposing is that we take bids, as I mentioned, on October the 7th, Monday afternoon. Bidders won't hold those bids for very long, so we'll take them that afternoon and bring them to you the following morning. And so if we do that, we would anticipate closing on or about October the 31st. And we will go again through the rating process with Standard & Poor's, and they're going to obviously have a lot of questions and a lot of evaluation, and we, we'll get all their feedback and make any appropriate adjustments. But I think we're in pretty good shape. We've been looking at all the ratios they look at, and we have people that work for us that used to work there, so we're pretty confident that we're good on that side. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Good, thank you very much. I'd like, Jimmy, can you come up for a minute? I think it's important to make sure that the folks here today, but also that are going to watch us at home, do understand that this is all related to the EPA consent decree that the city of Tyler is under, that we have 10 years to perform. And I think there is a certain level of, I think one statement I can make defines it, is that we have pipes in the ground in our sewer system that are over 100 years old, that zero reconstruction, very little maintenance has occurred in 100 years. And so those are the basins that we're currently working in this community to bring that to good quality standards. So there is a culmination of 100 years worth of work that we are jumping into due to the EPA consent decree. Is that a fair statement?
That's a very fair statement, Mayor.
And the basins that we're currently working in, Dr. Johnson, are we seeing that the estimated cost is running less than, or the estimated cost is greater than what the actually bids are coming back at? Is that what you're finding?
Yes, we're finding that the bid numbers that we're getting for the projects are coming in lower.
Yes, because I'm kind of seeing a 70%, roughly 70% less.
Yes, sir.
And I know your numbers that y'all have projected on this, you don't want to go down to based on the current bids because we don't know. So the number is still, I believe, a higher number than where we're actually going to be, because we still have the actual sizing of the pipes that has to be completed. We're not even to the big trunk lines, right? Yeah.
There is numerous things happening. There is clearing of right-of-ways. There is inspecting of manholes and major trunk lines. Then there's design occurring, then there's construction occurring. So we have multiple things occurring at this time.
Right. So we still have a lot of unknowns, so there's no reason to lower our estimated cost, but to really make sure that we have enough ability to understand the gravity of the situation. No pun intended with sewer system work. Does anybody else have questions on that or
I've got
comments?
one. When I was looking through the presentation, I saw a number of $241 million year after year with a total of 241. Is that, when you hit that 241, are we done?
I would love to say, Councilmember Warren, that we are, but we're not. Because of something that the mayor, Honorable Mayor just mentioned, the unknowns. Because we still have condition assessments that are occurring. We still have inspections of the pipe. We're still doing hydraulic analysis, which will determine whether or not that pipe, that sewer line needs to be of a larger size. So all things considered, we're making our very best forecast on what those costs will be.
Well, interesting side note, I read an article about Houston the other day that just entered into the consent decree, and their deal is $2 billion. So,
7 years is their consent decree. We've got 10.
I believe it took us 7 years to negotiate that 10 years.
About right.
So,
So the only thing that just,
yeah, go ahead.
kind of going back to Councilman Warren's question. So yeah, it's at certain point, you get to a point where you're able to address, and guys, remember what we're talking about here is also wastewater lines. So I want to make sure that everyone understands that it's not treatment plants, it's not water system. This is just on wastewater lines in the ground, and the structures that we have to, like, as far as lift stations to help support those, manholes, those types of things. So that's on this piece. But once you get past the major replacement of pretty much most lines in the ground throughout the city, then you still have the maintenance issue that's still going to be there, that we have to do probably better diligence on maintenance than we had in the past. And so
Yes,
that's,
yes, let's do
that's, yeah. And so that's also.
I won't
gonna
be
go-
here, but
you'll still,
I'll be
you'll hopefully
calling
be
to
able
make
to
sure.
decrease your spending on, as far as capital improvements, but you still have to kind of keep a program going.
The maintenance piece is actually a part of the consent decree
Right.
covered under the CMO.
for long term, it needs to be handled.
Yes, sir.
For the next 50 years, it needs to be handled differently than the previous 100 years. So, yes. Are there any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Well, I'll entertain, if there's not any other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve P1.
Second.
Motion by Westbrook, a second by Sellers. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you all very much for all your work. Kedrick, you're doing R1 as well.
Yes, sir. Mayor, Council, you have item R1 before you. Request the City Council consider adopting a resolution approving the continued receipt of the city's share of bingo prize fee in accordance with the new state legislation, and directing all licensed organizations conducting bingo in our local jurisdiction to send said share of bingo prize receipts to the city on a quarterly basis, and authorize the city manager or his designee to make all required notifications to affect the receipt of said fees. So House Bill 914 that was just passed in the recent legislative session basically laid out three things. You as a governing body have to basically express your wish to continue to receive these bingo funds. And also, we must notify the Lottery Commission by November 1st, 2019 of that action. And then after that, we'll have to notify the establishments in town that is our wish to continue receiving that. Currently, last fiscal year, we received almost almost $26,000 in revenues from the bingo establishments in town. I think there's only one. There was two at one point, but there's one current. So basically, the recommendation is that you all, by resolution, express your wish to continue to receive these fees.
Okay, let's follow state law, so.
Move to approve R1. Second.
Motion by McGee, a second by Warren, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, the ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
M1? Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor and City Council.
Morning.
Today, we're here to talk about the 2019-2020 Property and Casualty Program. We went out for an RFP in June of this year for property and casualty insurance and third-party claim administration services. These are the coverages that are in our property and casualty program. And some of the important factors that are impacting our program this year, on our property insurance, we are seeing, or the insurance companies are seeing historic weather-related losses that are impacting public entity insurance market. We've seen insurance companies that are actually leaving the market, so we have much less capacity, and the carriers that remaining are passing along significant rate increases for property programs. And then again, in auto liability, this is an ongoing theme. Premiums are increasing. We're seeing increasing costs of claims and litigation, and that's nationwide. So on the property and casualty liability, McGriff, Siebels, and Williams provided a quote in the amount of $683,183. Three of the firms stated that their markets either declined to quote or were not competitive. So that number is about a 7.7% increase from our previous year. And McGriff, Siebels, and Williams advises that these renewal terms are some of the best in their portfolio, given the current conditions. Our cyber liability, we got two bids, one from McGriff, Siebels, and Williams in the amount of $17,154. We're recommending the one from Hibbs Hallmark. It's a lower premium of $12,200, but it also has some expanded coverages, lower deductibles, and it's really a great policy, so we're excited about that. And then for claims handling, we did get two bids, one from Claims Administrative Services in the amount of $12,500. That particular quote included additional fees that will be charged to each file for investigation. They also did not address the data issue. We have a lot of data that would need to be put into that system, and they basically stated that we were an existing client, which we are on the workers' comp side, but not on the property and casualty side. So I'm not sure they fully, or they didn't fully address that issue, but you may remember back in 2012, they did the same thing. They came in with a really low bid, and we actually awarded them the contract, and they ended up having to forfeit because they could not move our data appropriately. So based on that, I'm recommending that we move forward with a higher quote of $32,320 from Innovative Risk Management. I think in the end it will end up being less expensive. Okay, for our special event liability, we've received two bids, one from Hibbs Hallmark, which is a $2,500 deposit premium. I'm recommending the Bosworth and Associates bid at $2,000 deposit premium. Really, the cost is a cost that we pass along to our citizens when they rent one of our facilities. And based on the number of events we have and the number of attendees, the Bosworth product will be cheaper for our citizens. Is there any questions?
I thought that was very well described. I mean,
Yeah, thank you.
if y'all have any questions?
No, none. Move to approve M1.
Motion by Westbrook, a second by McKellar. Any other questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. M2?
M2 is the Excess Workers' Compensation Program. And again, factors that are contributing to our pricing on this program is that there's an expansion of workers' compensation benefits for fire and police particular. The Texas legislature has expanded coverage to these employees for certain cancers, post-traumatic stress disorder, and heart attack claims in some instances. Hibbs Hallmark obtained a quote from Safety National in the amount of $115,000 with a $500,000 retention. I'm recommending the Hibbs Hallmark Company quote from Midwest Employers Casualty in the amount of $89,802 with a $450 retention except fire police, which they are going to require the $500 retention. And we did have two other firms who stated their markets either declined to quote or were not competitive. And then for the third-party claim administration, this is the incumbent Claims Administrative Services, and they do a great job for us on the workers' comp side. And this is flat pricing from our last RFP. Any questions?
Questions? Okay.
Move to approve M2.
Second.
Motion by Warren, a second by Sellers. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Ms. McCracken, you always do such a very fine job on that, so thank you very much for your efforts.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Item M3 is an engineering contract to provide design and construction phase services for a proposed development, a residential development located near Queen Street and Palace Avenue, which is north of where the new fire station #1 is currently being constructed. We're hoping that this proposed development will include around 10 to 12 residential lots. We're planning on the streets with having curb and gutter as well as sidewalks. In addition, we're trying to also include some green space or possibly walking trails throughout this residential development in the hopes that we'd be able to attract families with small children by giving them places to play or walk with their children. Funding for this project is through the Neighborhood Services Community Development Block Grant, which you may know as the CDBG program. We've selected Aqueous Engineering to provide these engineering and construction phase services. They provided the civil design work for the fire station site, so we thought that we would go ahead and utilize them as well to do the civil design for this residential neighborhood. So we're asking that you approve this engineering contract with Aqueous in the amount of $76,653.
Questions of Lisa?
Just curious, what's the square footage of these proposed homes?
I don't recall the answer to that. Okay.
Don't know yet.
We don't know that yet.
Would you have any questions?
No, I have no questions. I offer a motion.
Councilman McKellar makes the motion, seconded by McGee. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. The next item is a request to ratify staff action in authorizing the purchase of a Zetron Max fire station alerting system in the amount of $176,359.68. This is a digital dispatch system that will allow for dispatching from a central location. This is in conjunction with the construction of Fire Station 1 and 4. These two new stations are going to be equipped with the latest digital equipment available, which isn't able to communicate with the current analog dispatch system. So this system is going to replace what's currently available so that we can utilize it for these two new stations. And staff had to go ahead and authorize this purchase so that we would be able to get the equipment ordered and installed by the time that the construction of the new stations was complete.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Any questions of the city engineer?
So what about the plan, Lisa, to retro the existing stations that we have with the updated equipment? Is there a plan to do that? I mean, I know that this is just addressing the 2 new stations.
I'm
Here
gonna
comes
ask Chief
Chief
Coble.
Coble.
Chief Coble.
Good morning again, Mayor and Council. This will
Morning, Chief.
retrofit the other ones as well.
Oh, it will.
It's all encompassed in one system, so it'll all talk to each other.
Yeah, gotcha.
I did
So
not
where will
understand
the
that. Thank you.
central dispatch? Will there
Still
be-
comes out of
there-
dispatch system over in the police building. So it will be some equipment to go over in the dispatch center, our PSAP, and then the equipment will go into the stations as well.
Great, thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
I think we may have someone that wants to fill out a card and speak. Is that what you're doing?
Oh, sorry, yeah, I don't, never been there before. Had to take a drive around last night to find it.
Yeah.
I filled out a card for the industry.
Oh, you did? Gotcha. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Well, come on up to the microphone. I apologize. Sure. Well, I'm very sorry. I didn't see your card. That is my mistake.
Okay, my
Mr.
name is
Morgan.
Chris Morgan, and
Yes,
I
sir.
live at Quail Creek Apartments. I'm a veteran, naturally.
Yeah.
I'm also a Department of Defense retiree. In 9/11, you know.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad you guys had the flag this morning.
Yes, sir.
My wife called me the day of 9/11, and she says, "You better find a TV at work." As I looked out my window at my dam, I was a lockmaster, locking dam 24 Clarksville. You might remember history of 93 flood. We were in the news a lot because we got wiped out. So as I looked out at the dam and the water is running slow, which means the dam has a high head. We're holding back the most water we can. We're navigational. And when I realized that second plane, after I got my workers to let me get enough trust of where is that hidden TV every job has, and I seen that second plane hit, I thought, my God, I got barrels and drift and all that out in the dam. We were vulnerable in just a barrel in the river. It's going to go into the dam.
Right.
So anyway, I
think-
volunteered to
I
go
think-
to Iraq.
I think we all remember that day. I'm sure
Well,
everyone.
my time is quick. I
yes,
went to
sir.
Iraq. I went to Fort Bliss. I got a rush thing. The vice president said we need people on the ground. I had a lot of experience. I was a facility manager at the Lockett Dam, so off I went. I ended up in Kirkuk. I was in Tikrit, putting an oil line in, trying to get our oil to go to Turkey to pay for this war. Anyways, Saddam was captured while I was there. Historic. Okay, great. That was 2003. First civilians in with the military. A little dangerous, but I had my beard, so I was safe. Everybody likes gray people. I go to 2004, I go to Afghanistan. I was there in Mozari-Sharif when they voted for the first time. Again, historic. I retired in 2005 after seeing all this murder and death. And so I joined the Peace Corps, me and my wife. We go to Swaziland. The Baylor doctors taught us how to be HIV educators. Good way to retire. Then I said to heck with Missouri, I'm getting away from this river, and I'm going to the Gulf, because I'm an old sailor. I go to Port Aransas, Texas, I lost everything. Hurricane Harvey had the anniversary recently, 2 years. We had nothing. And my friend said, hey, you're a government guy, you know about FEMA. I said, I have no way in the world would I ask FEMA for help. I knew better. But on a fixed income, insurance can kill you. I'm homeless. Tyler's my home. That project, 10 homes, 12 homes, it's affordable. She said young families with walking past. Where's the senior supposed to go? These apartments are killing me. And they go up every rent. So that's all I got to say.
Well,
the project should go no matter what. And you know I called your family neighborhood service. You know what they told me about HUD projects? We don't take applications. We got too many. I said, well, what do I do? She said, call back every 2 weeks. I said, when's the last time you had applications taken? 2014. That's terrible.
Yeah, that's a federal program.
I know.
But
I'm sorry.
No, first I want to say thank you very much for your service to our country. I appreciate that.
Well-
And I would like for you to stay after the meeting, because I'd like to meet you, but I'd also like to talk to the HUD program about some VASH vouchers we have. So if you'd stay around for a minute, we'll see what we can do. Is that okay?
Yeah, I did
It's not
talk
going to be
to
much longer.
Adriana Rodriguez, she's very nice, very helpful, and she said she might get some things together for me. So I'll go outside and I'll come back when you're
Well,
done.
you just have a seat, and I'll be with you in about 30, well, I gotta,
I'll be back. I
Yeah.
gotta get some fresh air.
good, okay. Well, hang out, and we'll visit here in a little bit. Thank you, Mr. Morgan. M5?
Did council take action on M4?
Oh, we didn't? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I got distracted. So,
Move to approve M4.
motion by Sellers. Second. Second by Suddeth, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Now we'll go to M5.
I just wanted
Yes.
to make sure that, did Councilman Westbrook, did we get your question answered? Did we get?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we all got a little distracted. But by the way, Chief Coble answered his question.
Sure. Thank you.
M5.
Thank you. M5 is an engineering contract to provide design and construction phase services for the storm sewer repair project on Pabst and from Bow Street south to the discharge location at the Creek Channel, which is south of Willow Street. This storm sewer is failing in multiple locations, resulting in sinkholes along the length of the storm drain. In addition, we plan to also address an issue of localized flooding that occurs at the intersection of Valentine and Pabst. The flooding is unrelated to the issues we're having with the storm drain, but it's just convenient to address both issues at one time because of the proximity of these two separate issues. So again, we've selected CT Brennan Corporation for the design, construction management, and construction inspection for this sewer repair project. The engineering contract is in the amount of $52,180.
Very good. Any questions of Ms. Crossman?
No.
I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve M5.
Motion by Warren, second by Westbrook. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Now we're to the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I have a motion from Westbrook,
Second.
second from Suddeth. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. City managers report, and then we do have an executive session
Yes, sir.
item.
Mayor and council, a few items of note. We had a great National Night Out kickoff event on Saturday at Bergfield Park. There's over 50 booths and approximately 450 to 500 people attended the event. We want to thank our community resource unit, our community response unit, and everyone that organized, worked, and attended the event. It was a wonderful start to our upcoming National Night Out on October 1st. Streets, this focused this past week on medians throughout the city. Our crew especially cleaned and swept all the medians and intersections on the loop, including the intersection at Highway 271. Moving forward, we have scheduled median work 1 week a month to help keep excessive buildup of debris from happening. Also, social engagement, media engagement, Bob Malden and the communications Bob Malden and the communications team continue to do an amazing job. I know, I got a little tongue-tied there, literally, of using video to educate and inform the public. As of today, the most recent Walking with Bob, which focused on why not to leave your pets in a hot car, has been viewed more than almost 15,000 times. In addition, the recent episode of Your Friendly Neighborhood Thief has been viewed over 19,000 times. The use of video and social media content has become a valuable tool. We look forward to seeing what they will come up with next. And then finally, the library received a grant. This was awarded a grant this summer from the East Texas Communities Foundation. The focus of the grant is to support the library's early childhood literacy response, which is early literacy kits that people can check out, take home, and use with their kids. Since they were first adopted with the library in 2016, the early literacy kits have been popular among patrons, with kits on average being checked out 32 times for 3-week loans, and some kits having circulated 55 to 60 times. And so we continue to look for opportunities for grant funding to be able to move those programs forward as we look to see how we can help, especially with the library, with helping our community beyond just things such as the books and literacy, but even into the early childhood development.
Very good. Thank you very much. At this time, we will recess for executive session. Executive item number 1, under Texas Government Code Section 551.072, real estate deliberation regarding the following: discuss the purchase, exchange, sale, lease, or value of real property, the public discussion of which would have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the city. So at this time, we'll be in recess, and how long do y'all expect this to last?
That's about 20 minutes, sir.
About 20 minutes. So y'all are welcome to stay with us. If not, generally people do not, but you're welcome to stay. So at this time, we're in recess. At this time, we're coming back from executive session, and we do not have any action out of the executive session item. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.